Toby, a physical question for you. How's your finger?
It's still there, so. Kind of is what it is at this point. I mean, it's sore, but.
Can you feel it, or is it numb a little, or?
No, I can feel it. I mean, the tip of my finger's a little numb, but yeah, I feel the ball pretty well still.
Kobe, with games like these, you've done it for your whole career where you played through stuff, but in particular knowing that this is your last season and knowing a city like this or maybe a city like tomorrow, Milwaukee, how badly certain fans want to see you one last time, how much are you pushing to try to make sure that you can play in as many of these games as you can?
Well, you know, I push it a lot. You know, it's a lot of responsibility to be able to get out there and play in the form. And fans certainly deserve that, right? So it's definitely my responsibility if I'm able to get out there and perform.
Kobe, you've had a great career. You've won 5 championships. When you look back after you retired, what memory outside of the championships can stand out most to you?
You know, the journey to get to those championships. You know, just starting training camp and not knowing what's going to happen. You know, having all the dreams and aspirations, and you know, kind of the peaks and valleys that come during the course of the year. I mean, all those things are great memories. You know, the jokes in the locker room, some that I can share, some that I can't share. And, you know, all those things are a part of it.
Kobe, what are your recollections coming into this building, particularly the first couple of times and going against Michael?
Getting schooled for a baseline dunk the first time I matched up with him. That was like the coolest thing. It was, because I'd seen that spin move so many times, and then I knew he was going to do it. But the timing on TV and then in person are 2 completely different things. So he just spun right before I thought he was going to spin, and I was like, man, that was pretty cool. That was pretty cool. So that's my first memory of it. And then coming to watch a game here with Jermaine O'Neal in the finals, and sitting all the way up in the nosebleeds where Tony and Michael looked about that big, and enjoying the finals experience. Those are my 2 top memories.
Well, you met with John Paxson and Jerry Reinsdorf in 2004 for agency, and also in 07 there was some noise about you being linked to the Bulls. What are your recollections of those 2 off seasons, and did either of those times did you feel like you were meaningful?
I did. I mean, very much so. My wife and I were actually planning travel arrangements, come out to Chicago and look at some homes and schools and things like that. And, then once, I think once Shaq demanded a trade, then it was like, there's no way they're going to trade me anywhere. So this sign and trade option just pretty much went off the table.
Kobe talked to Jason Kidd last night. He said that his elevator didn't, when he guarded you, he just couldn't quite get up to the floor you were on. Well, what do you remember about going against Jason?
Well, I mean, Jason was, when he was in Jersey, he was just extremely quick. And his change of directions was the thing that always gave me the most trouble. And he had extremely quick hands, played with his body extremely well on the ball, right? So for me, I had to get to a proper spot and get a chance to elevate over him. But if his body was stuck to me, I knew he was going to get his hands in there, and it was going to be tough for me to get the ball up. So it was just, it was fun matching up with him over the years. So.
Kobe, you mentioned
Considering Chicago's options to the variable of trying to live up to that pressure of being Michael Shadow, go into that, is that like
You've known me for how long? Really? I seem like the type to coward to something like that. Come on, man.
What kind of pride, you obviously didn't get signed with the Bulls or get traded to the Bulls, what kind of pride do you have in being a Laker for life?
I've been very lucky that things have worked out the way that they have, and understanding how rare it is to have a player in this generation play for one team. So I've been extremely, extremely fortunate. I mean, man, I drive by, I drive out in LA and Orange County, these places. I remember the city, like there weren't even buildings there. Like downtown LA wasn't what it is now. So I've literally watched the city develop in 20 years. It's been crazy.
Kobe, you talked about how going up against Michael. What was his influence though on you as a young player, even before you got into the league? What was his influence on you?
Well, I mean, it's no words can really do it justice, because you know, as a kid growing up in Italy, you know, all I had was video, and so I studied everything. I studied every player, and then once I came back to the States and I realized I wasn't going to be 6'9", I started studying Michael exclusively, and then when I came to the league and matching up against him, what I found that he was extremely open to having a relationship, a mentor relationship, and giving me a great amount of advice and an amazing amount of detail, strategies, workout regimens, and things like that. So seriously, I don't think people really understand the amount of impact that he's had on me as a player and as a leader. So if I was fortunate enough to come here, right, if that trade had happened and I'd be here, it's not a pressure situation to live up to what he's done. It's more like, man, can I carry on this man's legacy? Can I do it justice? Right? Can I represent Chicago the way that it should be represented in his honor? So just a tremendous amount of influence.
But one of the most consistent things that opposing players, I think maybe some coaches have said on this farewell tour, is that you're the Michael Jordan of this generation, or you are Michael Jordan, some players will say. What does that mean to you?
Well, I mean, what I take to me from it is that our competitiveness is second to none. I mean, we're pretty obsessive about how to get an edge and how to compete with people, to the point where, you know, you can't say anything. Like when I was playing, if I said hi to a player, they're looking at me sideways, like, what is he up to? You know what I mean? And I think it's that attention to detail and that competitive spirit that I think really makes that connection. Not too many players are as maniacal as we've been.
A lot of Bulls fans maybe were hoping that you wouldn't get to 6 to be tied with Michael. You think about that at all?
No, well, I'm sure. Of course, I mean, if you're a Bulls fan, of course, right? And my job is to try to win as many championships as possible, right? And so 6 doesn't seem like it's in the cards. And so, but I'm okay with that, you know, because as a player, you want to try to do everything you can with what you have and leave no stone unturned. If you can look yourself in the mirror and honestly say that you've done that, more than that.
While you're out there trying to
this tour, if the Lakers were a better team and more in contention, or would you be so narrowly focused on and maniacally winning another championship? Would you be able to pass on the lessons, play with each other's kids and things of that nature if the Lakers were in a class of OKC or Golden State or something like that?
Yeah, I do it, but you guys will probably never see it. You guys will keep just going on thinking I'm just this biggest asshole in the world all the time. It's just totally fine.
While you're out there trying to win night after night, people are coming to these buildings. They want to see Kobe Bryant, and Jordan lived up to those expectations. Tried to. How difficult is that? How rare is it? Do you think some players struggle with that, to go out there and sort of give the fans what they want?
Maybe. I mean, if they're thinking about living up to those expectations, then I think they're thinking about the wrong thing. What they need to be thinking about is going out there and doing what they've practiced thousands of times. That's it. I mean, that's all I've ever done. You know, I step on the practice floor. This is the game to me. Everything I'm doing here in practice, I'm going to do in the game. So it wasn't a matter of thinking I need to do something different or I need to live up to these expectations. All I need to do is just go out there and do what I've been working on countless times. And, pleasuring the fans and will take care of itself.
Kobe, how significant is it playing against your old friend Paul, and how much did you try to convince him to stay with the Lakers when the time came?
Yeah, I mean, it's great to play against him. It's great to see him. You know, I was happy that he was there in All-Star Weekend. I got a chance to talk to him, catch up with him a little bit. No, I mean, I tried everything under the sun to convince him to stay. But you know, Powell is such a prideful person, and when he felt like he was being disrespected with all the continual trade talks, despite the success that we had and the benching and all that stuff, he just felt completely disrespected. So, you know, I understood that as a man, and there was nothing I could do but just wish him luck.
Kobe, you've talked before kind of critically about AAU and kind of what you feel like it does to the game or has done to the game. And I think some people think that it's also kind of changed the nature of relationships where they're friends at a much younger age, depending on how good they are at that age. Is that weird for you to kind of look at with kind of the mindset that you come in with where winning is over everything, and then you see guys that are so friendly with each other at such a young age?
It's not really that. I mean, I don't want to. Winning comes. You know what I mean? Like I'm not obsessive about the end result, to the point where you take shortcuts to get there. Right? It's about the process. It's about the journey. It's about doing things right. Like when I played AAU basketball, I mean, there were games where I said, okay, I'm going to challenge myself to go left. This entire game I'm going to go left. And there'll be times where scouts may think, this kid's not as good as I thought he was. You know what I mean? But I was willing to sacrifice that in order to work on my game. Right? So it's not focusing on the end result. You have to focus on the process to get there, and then results come. And I think that's the biggest misunderstanding with winning and with AAU basketball, because the results are always the most important. It's always what comes later, and that needs to be changed.
What's your most memorable game here?
Most memorable game here. Well, the '98 game was pretty fun. My first time. I really got a chance to play, against MJ, and that was pretty cool. I think the biggest learning experience though was the first time we came out here, and I think we had like a 17-point lead, and then you just saw, Scotty and Michael just said, "That's enough." That's enough. And I remember sitting on the bench like, man, they are covering so much ground. Like I don't even understand how this is possible. How Pippen can trap in the backcourt, and all of a sudden he's at half court, and all of a sudden he's getting a rebound at the rim. Like I don't wonder how this is physically possible. And that was probably the biggest lesson I learned.
Tony hit some threes.
Hit a bunch of threes, but their defensive pressure. I mean, we couldn't even get the ball across half court. It was pretty phenomenal.
Kobe, will basketball always be somewhat in your future going forward?
Yeah, well, I think I think so. And what that means, I don't know. Right, but the lessons that I've learned from the game, I carry with me no matter what, because it's all connected. I don't care if you're a writer or film director or whatever, a basketball player. All those lessons are still the same, right? The attention to detail, right? Building a community, the curiosity, and all those things. It's all the same. And I learned those through the game of basketball. So in that sense, it'll always be with me.
Last two questions, please. All-Star weekend, AI and Shaq were inducted or announced as finalists to the Hall of Fame, and you're all playing an All-Star game. Those guys were your peers. Have you taken time to appreciate how many eras that your 20-year career has? Who you brought in, who you brought out?
It freaks me out every time I think about it. Tyronn Lue's coaching, Luke Walton's coaching. You got commentators that have been retired for years that were rookies when I first started. It's like the weirdest thing in the world, man. All-Star break, Steph, Draymond Green, all these guys were 7, 8 years old. When I was playing in my third All-Star game, I'm there with my daughter, and she's 9. Like all that stuff, freaks me out, but in a good way. Because dude, I've been so fortunate to play this game for 20 years, and this has been in the NBA more than half my life.
Kobe Minnesota's Rachel Band scored 52 a day.
Did she?
Yeah. She became the Big Ten's all-time leading scorer. Just
Yeah, I mean, she can play. I mean, you watch her game, the game is very well balanced, right? Going left and pulling up and shooting, going right, pulling up and shooting. Floaters. I mean, she can do it all. She can do it all. So like I said, when I saw she scored 60, it didn't seem like much of a fluke to me. And until they figure out a way to solve her weapons, she's going to continue to do it.
Kobe, any message for Bulls fans?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important to remain patient, and I think what you're seeing with this team is an adjustment period. I think Derek's at a position in his career where he'll have to adjust his game. And what I mean by that is start using his size a lot more instead of speed and quickness. Start going to the post a little bit more. And but they have 3 tremendous players with Rose and Butler and Powell. And if they can figure out how to defend, I think this team can go very, very deep in the playoffs.
Kobe,
Thank you.